I'm the Managing Director of the Demographics Group, formerly partner with KPMG, in fact formed KPMG Demographics globally, right here out of Melbourne. My presentation today deals with the very topical topic, the future of work. It seems to be the topic that is on every conference program. I think certainly for the last year you can see that corporate Australia is actually very much concerned about that. What I want to do today is to unveil new data that is coming out of the 2016 census that I think is absolutely critical, provides unique insight, information, practical information that you will not have seen before, and I think will form a talking point probably for another 5 years or so. I don't want my future Australia to be a place of haves and have-nots. I think we work better as a society when everyone believes they have a chance at prosperity. What can we do now as a people, as a community, to actually engage, upskill, reskill, relocate, engage, volunteering, social cohesion programs should be written into the business plan of every corporation in Australia. In fact, it's not about having a licence to operate, it's about having a social licence to operate. It's about creating a better society. Everyone should have an equal opportunity. Different outcomes, but equal opportunity. That's the best outcome for Australia. I said that I had new data to share from the census, and here it is. This is absolutely critical information. When you filled out the census last year, you said what your job was. There are 1,300 different occupations that comprise 12 million workers on the Australian continent. What you're looking at here is the 12 fastest growing jobs on the Australian continent over the last 5 years, or where most job growth has occurred, in fact. The single most expanding job is sales assistant, 70,000, and then like 12,000 extra of those per year. Aged or disabled carer. It's never the numbers. I'm not looking at the numbers. I'm looking for patterns. I'm listening to the Australian people. So actually, chef, 23,000. I love this one, number 10, barista. In fact, the Australian people are telling, we're obsessed with lifestyle. Baristas and chefs, aged care, caring and engaging, in fact. More jobs in caring and doing, fewer jobs in milling and mining and drilling and fabricating. All those jobs are done in Guangzhou. In fact, here is a different society, in fact, when you look at this. What jobs do you think are contracting most on the Australian continent? It's probably manufacturing, you'd think about it, or agriculture. It's actually secretary, in fact. 20,000 fewer of those. We're losing 4,000 secretaries per year, and I think this is because management has learned how to type. No need to dictate a memorandum. There's an email trail of who said what to whom, in fact. The role of a secretary has shifted to personal assistant, executive assistant. They liaise, they interface, they troubleshoot, they manage diaries. It's a different skill set to secretarial skills. Secretaries aren't sitting at home festering and fermenting revolution. They've found other jobs. That is the point. You need to be flexible, fluid, agile, mobile, adaptable, sociable, fit-inable, articulate, self-confident. These are the skills that take people from the right-hand side and put them into the left-hand side. In fact, again, when you look at this, you can see the shift in agriculture, you can see the shift in digital disruption, bank worker, for example, bank teller. You can see that 8,000 fewer over the last 5 years or so. I'm very suspicious of the cooks over here. I reckon there's been job title inflation. Cooks are now calling themselves chefs, I reckon. And miner, of course, with the end of the mining boom. You can actually cut this same information differently. Here are the occupations that are rising and falling. I wonder what are the fastest growing industries in Australia. I showed you the 19 in the 21st century with healthcare at the top. The census breaks that down into 400, nearly 500 different industries. You can get a finer focus, a finer handle on which industries are expanding most. And here they are. And in fact, cafes and restaurants. 75,000 extra people in cafes and restaurants. It's the sort of business you need to be in. And in fact, if I was like a supermarket operator, I'd be looking, can you actually get a little cafe inside the supermarket, in fact? This is the bigger picture view of this. Hospitals, of course, aged care, Building and industrial cleaning services. You can actually see that. And then secondary education, primary education, higher education. You can see Australia skilling up. Here are the businesses that are soaking up or requiring employment delivery over the last 5 years or so. All of this leads to an overview of what we should be doing in order to educate and upskill our workforce. I think there are 3 things that you need to do that are coming out of this presentation with regard to preparing for the future of work. The first one is science, technology, engineering and mathematics, the technical skills perhaps that you need. You need a university degree or technical training. The best thing you can do for your kids is to give them access to further education, in fact. And in addition to that, it's continuous learning, in-house learning. And if you speak to that millennial generation, they value this. Don't just give me the job. Show me about the in-house learning, upskilling, training program that you're able to deliver. You need more than that. I think you also need an entrepreneurial mindset. The fact that we have not, as a nation, created a new big business in almost 100 years, when the rest of the planet is re-emerging, recreating big businesses in a single generation, is a major issue. I think Australia has an issue around complacent prosperity. We are the 3rd richest people on earth by accident. Complacent prosperity. There is no fire in our belly. You can see that in China, you can see that in America, in fact. Entrepreneurship and enterprise. And I think, if you have a kid doing computer science or whatever it is, and they say, I really want to work for Google, I say, you don't want to do that. Be the next Google. Rather than work for someone else, put the mindset of creating businesses in the future. But I think there's another skill that you need on top of that as well. So you need STEM skills, you need entrepreneurship, you also need agility, in fact. You need soft skills. You need to be articulate, you need to be fit-inable. If you tell your kid that they are special, it makes you feel good. But what happens when that kid is 35 and they're retrenched and they think, I'm special, the world owes me a living? Or do they fit in? Are they articulate? Are they flexible? In fact, if that secretary has a view of, I've been retrenched as a secretary and I have been offered a job as an office manager, but I'm a secretary, I'll wait until a secretarial job comes up. That is the most dangerous thing you can do for your career. Or do you say, no worries, I can fit in, I can do this, I've got these skills, I've got those skills. The economy is expanding. You just need to have that agility to deliver that. And just finally, I said right at the very beginning that I did do the MBTI test with Cameron, coached me on this. And I did do this test 20 years ago before I started speaking, before I started in Rose, about 1993, something like that. It's about 25 years ago. And I'd forgotten what my type was until I did the test again. And I came up with the same results. I'm going to show you what that was. So you've formed your view, I suppose, and where I should fit into the schedule. And I am INTJ. And just finally, some key points. The Australian workforce, of course, undergoing profound economic change. You cannot look at those census results and see jobs rising and falling. This is the coalface. Here is the metrification, if you like, of where jobs are rising and falling. It's the first time that data has been presented publicly, in fact, and I won't be able to update it for another 5 years. Incredibly important information at an occupation level and at an industry level, in fact. And it's not all about robots and AI into the future. The service industries, the cafes, the cooks, the lifestyle, the care industries. These are the industries also of the future, in fact. And there's being able to create a workforce that is engaged in continuous learning and also that has strong soft skills, flexibility, fluidity, self-confidence. These are not skills that you're taught at university or at school. These are skills that you actually learn tribally, at home, I think, before you actually get to secondary school. This is not something parents can outsource to someone else. I think it comes from within the family to actually create those mindsets and those skills of the future. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.